We have all heard stories about curses emerging from the disruption of ancient excavation sites, and Junji Ito brings one such terrifying event to light in this episode of the new Netflix horror anime anthology. In this video, we will break down the episode and also theorize the true origins of the curse. Be warned, however, that there will be a few spoilers along the way. Exploring the story behind the multi-layered human curse. The episode has been adapted from the short story titled Layers of Fear, and the episode opens with some activity at the Ajim Shell Mound excavation site. Professor Soya is leading a team, and they are surprised to uncover strange layers of rocks and soil in the ground. It almost looks like the impact of a human lying face down on the surface, and soon some more digging reveals a skull, which looks to be that of a young child's. The professor infers that the results could indicate an ancient burial ritual, where the dead body was gradually covered with thin layers of clay until it took the shape of a multi-layered giant doll. Everyone, including Professor Soya, deems this to be a massive discovery, but the excavations are interrupted by sudden unscheduled rainfall. The scene ends with the professor taking the skull away, possibly to research more. The narrative then moves on to a mother and her two daughters driving through the countryside. The elder daughter, Narumi, is behind the wheel, and the family seems to be returning from her father's 13th annual memorial service. The mother is extremely affectionate toward Reimi, the younger daughter, but she treats the elder daughter with utmost neglect and disrespect. A war of words between Narumi and her mother leads to an accident, and a street sign rams into Reimi's face, taking off a chunk of her facial skin and flesh. Reimi is rushed to the hospital, and luckily for the family, she survives the impact. However, the doctor at the hospital has some strange news for them. He reveals that he is bewildered by the discovery that Reimi has another set of skin with facial features underneath the skin and flesh that came off. In fact, further examinations made the doctor find out that Reimi is made up of multiple layers of skin, and there is no trace of internal organs. The mother is shocked by the revelation, and she mourns that if this is true, then Reimi is no different from a Baumkuchen, a multi-layered cake in Japan. The doctor compares Reimi's condition with that of tree barks that have multiple layers with age, and suddenly it occurs to her mother that she could find a way to reach out to a younger version of Reimi. Despite repeated requests from the doctor for further investigation, she takes Reimi home. Meanwhile, Narumi lets us in on a crucial bit of information. She believes that Reimi's condition is the result of a curse from the excavation site. She talks about similarities between Reimi's condition and the photos of the site where the skull was uncovered, and we immediately know that Professor Soya was her father. She also adds that her father was never the same after the excavation process, and he stayed in isolation and lost his sanity with time, eventually dying after 9 years. However, Reimi was born only a year after he came home, and somehow the curse found its way to her. Narumi also reveals that she has a similar condition as well, and when she opens her mouth, we can see multiple layers of teeth inside, forming a beastly appearance. Once they are back home, Reimi seems quite irritated by the excessive care and affection showered by her mother. She snaps back at her, reminding her that she is no longer a toddler, and this only intensifies her mother's urge to get back the younger version of Reimi. Narumi requests her to organize a memorial service for the skull that was excavated in the hope that the curse would abandon them, but her suggestion falls on deaf ears. Her mother refuses to consider it as a curse, and soon we find out she plans to make use of this multi-layered condition. That night, as Reimi is sleeping, her mother sits beside her bed and keeps calling out to the toddler Reimi trapped inside the multi-layers. She is pleasantly surprised when a baby voice calls out to her from inside, and now she is determined to get back her daughter's toddler version. She peels through multiple layers of Reimi's skin, and a spine-chilling howling can be heard emerging from the body, possibly from the versions of Reimi that were being ripped off. The mother wants her 2-year-old Reimi, and finally, when she does cut through all the layers, a terrifying discovery awaits her and Narumi. After they reach the face of 2-year-old Reimi, they peel through the rest of the body, only to find that it doesn't exist. Basically, what they have now is a creature with the face of baby Reimi and a deformed skeletal structure below. The mother realizes that the curse is indeed at work, but she seems to have lost her mind entirely. She plans to cut through her own face to get to the younger version of herself that can give birth to Reimi again. However, she finds out that the curse did not affect her, and she did not have multiple layers at all. Now Narumi is stuck with a mutilated baby Reimi, and her mother with severely disfigured face. The story ends with a pathetic sight. Narumi brings in some food for baby Reimi and her mother, who seems to have lost her mind entirely. It seems like there's no escaping from the ancient curse. What was the true nature of the curse? Like most of Junji Ito's stories, This one does not spoon-feed the viewers and leaves a lot to your interpretation. Professor Soya might have acquired the curse because he disturbed the sanctity of the region during the excavation process. We do hear about so many Egyptian curses affecting those involved in the archaeological missions, and this one seems to be something on similar lines. The skeleton could belong to some ancient deity that was worshipped, or could simply have some supernatural powers beyond human comprehension. Researching further on the matter drove the professor to his death, and eventually, we see both his daughters being affected by the curse. However, since his wife was not directly affected by the curse, it can be inferred that the curse only affected his bloodline. Was there a way to get rid of the curse? We would like to think yes, but we will never know. Narumi did suggest holding a memorial service for the skull as one of the measures, but the family never went through with it. Appeasing the superpower that caused the curse could have taken it off, but the original story suggests that the skull had mysteriously disappeared, so there would be no entity to pray or beg forgiveness from. Stay away from ancient artifacts and totems, guys. You never know which one will cause you to develop 100 layers of teeth. Marvelous verdict. A veiled narrative of parenting gone wrong. Of course, the story is largely about the curse that affected the family, but it does highlight the perils of poor parenting. Reimi and Narumi's mother is solely responsible for the condition that they find themselves in, and her obsession with a younger version of her favorite child who would always cling to her is scarier than the curse itself. There are some heart-stopping moments throughout the episode, and the moment when you witness the bodiless skeletal structure with the face of a baby, you are bound to be shocked. It is certainly one of the better episodes of the show, and we strongly recommend checking this out on Netflix if you haven't already. Do let us know in the comments what you think about the true extent of the curse, and how they could have possibly gotten rid of the curse before it was too late. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.